to stay.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Boards, a podcast dedicated to the actions and interests of skaters beyond skateboarding. My guest today, Jaime Owens, grew up and started skating in the 80s in Florence, South Carolina. After studying art and photography for a few years, he moved to California in 1999 and started working in skateboarding media. He spent the next 2 decades working between two iconic magazines, Skateboarder and Transworld. Since 2022, Jaime has embarked on a new journey and launched a new print skateboarding magazine called Closer. Issue number 4 is coming out as we speak, and the future is looking bright. So here's my conversation with Jaime. I hope you'll enjoy it. Will be actually guest number 50. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I'm super stoked to finally do this interview with you.
Well, you've been steadily putting out a lot of interviews, man. You're putting in a lot of hard work, so congrats on 50.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun so far. It's been 2 years exactly that I've started.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. I have a lot of questions for you.
Oh, Lord. I'll try to do good.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll do great. But yeah, I usually start the same way with every guest and basically ask, the guest how he or she started skating. And so I know that you grew up in South Carolina. I think it's either in Florence or right next to it. And so, yeah, can you tell me about what year and how you started skating?
Yeah, I started skating probably in 84, 85. And it's what I think I said this before. It's like the classic story. It's always a friend or a brother is the setup for a lot of those. But it was a friend. One of my best friends got a Jeff Phillips skateboard. We kind of played on banana boards before that. But seeing an actual professional 80s style skateboard was like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so just seeing that, thought it was cool and just dove right in. And then my mom, one of the other neighborhood kids had a town and country skateboard, and my mom paid a check of $40 for it, and I got my first skateboard. So, and I've been hooked ever since. So yeah, it was just a classic riding in the driveway, getting these nice, cool skateboards and just skating back and forth in the driveway, and like trying to go down the driveway and turn around was like the biggest thing in the world at that time. I remember that was the first thing that felt hard.
Yeah, and
then of course we built the ramps in the backyard and jump ramps and stuff. So I have the quintessential 80s kid skating. Did the BMX before that, but totally fell in love with skateboarding right then.
And so I think on the 9 Club, I don't remember if you said that over there or maybe in some other interview, but I think you said that Video Days was one of your favorite videos of all time. But that was a bit later. I think it was 92, around there, maybe 91, 93. I'm
91,
not sure.
yeah.
Right. But yeah, do you remember maybe like the first skate video you watched and the first magazine that you, put your hands on?
For sure. The first video was Future Primitive.
Oh, okay.
And that blew me away because, of course, when you started skating, we didn't really know about skate magazines or skate videos. We were in the BMX before skating, right? So I would look at Freestyling magazine, which was like a big time BMX magazine.
Uh-huh.
And so they would have skate advertisings in the back. I remember like Jeff Kendall, Santa Cruz ads. Those were like the first ones I pulled out and put on my wall. So I wasn't aware of, Transworld or Thrasher at that time when I first started. And I wasn't aware of skate videos, of course. And then the kid in the neighborhood, the kid that like wasn't even one of the, like a skater or whatever, but he kind of like skated, had Future Primitive. And he's like, I got a skate video, come in. And I remember us all piling into his house and just was like, I think that changed, just made it so much cooler. You saw the culture, like that thing just represented skateboarding and showed the best skaters in the world, right then and there. So that was definitely a groundbreaking moment of seeing that and just being like, holy crap, this is awesome. This is so cool. The music, the clothes, just the whole culture of skateboarding was so awesome. And then, so that was 85 when Future Primitive came out. And I feel like I didn't see a skate magazine for a long time after that until my older sister came home one day and was like, and handed me a Transworld. Like, hey, I saw this skate magazine at the grocery store. I thought you might like it. And I was like, what? What is that? And so I was like, holy crap, a whole magazine dedicated to skateboarding. And so from there on, ripping out all the pages and putting them on the wall and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it took a while. Yeah, there was like a gap between knowing that there was like media of skateboarding out there and finally getting my hands on it. So it was cool.
Do you think at that time when you were discovering skate media and skate videos, were you kind of already thinking, I might want to do this sometime in the future when I'm older?
I definitely did not think that at that time, because I definitely probably had I want to be pro. I want to like get sponsored, so that comes first. You want to like get all the free product.
Yeah.
You want to be in the videos, you want to be in the magazines, but so that came much later as far as like getting into photography and kind of wanting to get in the industry. So at the beginning, it was definitely just you wanted to get sponsored and just get free stuff. You wanted to be a part of that whole world. Mm-hmm. But it felt so far away, like I've said before too. Growing up in rural South Carolina, like California and New York, all those just felt like a million miles away. You felt like you were like so far away from it. So it just felt like a land of magic that you wanted to go be a part of.
Right.
Just wanted to get out there and be a part of it in some fashion.
So you studied at university in Florence. You studied like art and photography, I think. So did you have kind of a vision for what you wanted to do? As you said, you were like skating a lot and probably aspiring to get sponsored, turn pro maybe one day or something. But were you already kind of thinking like, if this doesn't work out, maybe I can find a job in skateboarding media in a magazine of some sort, or become a filmer or something?
Yeah, so early on, I realized I wasn't professional level skateboarding real early on. So I was just doing it for the love and just love everything about skateboarding. Mm-hmm. And kind of just went through high school, just skating, being into punk rock skating, got into college, kind of still didn't know my direction in life. I was like, I knew I loved art. I knew I loved photography. And so I stuck around in my hometown and went to Francis Marion University in Florence. And, it's not a big school, and their art program is like 2 painting classes, 2 or 3 photography classes, and drawing classes.
Yeah.
But I majored in that because I knew I wanted, I didn't really think I'd be able to get a job in the art world or media world. But I was like, this is what I love. I want to do this, and I'll figure out. I talk about too, I've said, my dad was paying for my college, and he was kind of like, what are you doing? What are you going to do with this degree? Like,
right, yeah.
And it kind of like weighed on me. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, just kept putting off growing up.
Yeah.
And being responsible and becoming an adult. So I didn't really have a clue. I just knew I wanted to do art and photography. And once I got into school and was doing that, I was like, maybe I'll be a photography teacher. Maybe I'll go after college, go get a master's in photography and maybe become a photography teacher at a school or a college or something. So that was kind of far in the back of my mind of like where I would go.
Okay.
Yeah. And I worked at a record store through the mid 90s for a long time, and was like realizing like I was very responsible and could probably move up the chain there and like run the record store maybe for a while. But I didn't have any long-term visions of what I was going to do with my life. I was just kind of living in the moment.
Yeah.
And then figure, maybe something would pop up. But I knew kind of in the back of my mind, I was like, I would love to try to get out to California and get into the skate industry somehow. And then after I graduated college, I kind of just worked at the record store. I was just kind of celebrating my like freedom from school. Been in school all my life. So I was just like, I just want to work at the record store and skate. Yeah. And I'll figure out from there. And then I realized I needed to kind of get on with my life and figure out something. So I had talked to a skate friend of mine we both agreed that we were going to try to go to California and do something. Try to work at a warehouse at a skate brand, or just go out there and just see what would happen. Okay. And of course, I was a photographer, or an aspiring photographer, so I figured I would try to get an internship at a skate mag. So
Right. And that's eventually what happened. Like, you were an intern at a skateboarder before you got the job as the photo editor, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So we came out to California, and I had an old elementary school friend that lived in Los Angeles that was kind of doing the acting thing. So I kind of had some person of contact, even though he was not connected to the skate world at all. But I just had some point of contact of feeling like I had a place to go and like know somebody that knew their way around and could help us get set up with an apartment and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I did that. And then what's funny is Skateboarder was the only skate mag at the time that had email addresses in the like masthead.
That's right. I remember you told the story. You wrote to Aaron Meza, right? You wrote him with the Future Primitive Code or something.
Exactly. So see that all ties back. Like that was my first video. That line was like our favorite line from the video, and so somehow it's like I got to grab his attention, so I put that in the subject line, and it worked.
That was a good move, yeah.
It worked. Yeah. So like that was the only mag that had email addresses. So I would have tried Transworld or any of the other mags in SoCal at the time, Big Brother or something, but yeah, Aaron Meza's email was at the top of the list, so it was pretty easy to get in contact with him.
So that was like in, I think, 99 or 2000, right? That you moved to California?
Yeah, so that was the end of 99. So one thing too, kind of, I don't know if I mentioned this, like my dad passed away in March of 99.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of helped, make me get a jump start on like getting my life together, figuring out my life. So he passed away from cancer in March of 99. And I figured I have to figure out my life. I got to get it going. So I was like, if I'm going to do this and try to do the California thing, I have to do this now. Yeah. I need to get started. I was like 24 years old and so that was kind of the catalyst of like giving it a shot. And I was like, I'll go and try. If I don't make it, I'll come back and try to go to get a master's in photography at University of South Carolina. So yeah, so that was kind of like, that was a very strong motivation to kind of like take a chance.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you moved out to California, and like how soon did you like connect with Meza and Skateboarder and everything? How long did it take you?
That first year I moved to California was insane. So I think we got to Los Angeles in like around Halloween of 1999. So I remember we went to Santa Monica, had like a big festival. They closed off the street. So I remember that. So we were in California, Los Angeles, Halloween 99. And I think I'd sent the email maybe in November. And so I was at Skateboarder offices maybe by December of 99, meeting Aaron and kind of hanging out. Because I remember going, so it was December because they had a Christmas party, like a big company Christmas party up in LA. So I remember I had already been to Skateboarder before then and then went and hung out with everybody. And I think that's where I first met Mike Ballard, was at the Christmas party. And what was cool is he had like a mock-up of Arto Sari's cover of Skateboarder. Which was supposed to be a frontside board slide down like the apartment building 2-story handrail, which Sturt shot the photo and pulled it last second or something. So he gave it to Rusty for a Rusty ad. And so Sturt had to give him another photo for a cover, and it was like Arto's crook on the picnic table that was wedged in the ditch drop thing or whatever. So I just remember like meeting Mike Ballard at the Christmas party, and Meza was like, yeah, this is Jamie, our intern or whatever. And he was like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, yeah, he lived kind of close to me in LA and was like, yeah, you can come with me and get in the car and take you on photo shoots and you can help me out whatever way you can and I'll teach you photography. And I was like, all right, cool. So it was super easy. Like Meza was super easy to deal with, and just like the first time I met him, he came and met me in the office and just had a big smile on his face, made me feel comfortable. And when I met Ballard, he was super nice. Just everybody was super inviting. Yeah, and welcoming and everything. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like everybody's so fucking cool. This is awesome. So it only took like a month and a half, 2 months for me to get into Skateboarder, which was mind blowing. Thinking back of how quickly that happened.
Yeah. Stars aligned, I guess. Yeah, it's great.
For sure. So all those guys, they all lived in Los Angeles, but the Skateboarder offices were in Dana Point, which was an hour south of LA, where the Surfer Magazine headquarters were, because it was a part of that company. And that was one thing too, is like they were looking for an intern to help, and I had a car and I didn't have anything else to do, so it was easy for me to drive an hour south and go to the office and help out and stuff. So it just worked out, and then we all lived in LA, so I was able to hang out with them and see them and then go to the office.
So that's you getting involved with the Skateboarder, and was that around that same time as well that you connected with the Jackass crew and started filming with them, or was that maybe a year or two afterwards?
No, that came quick too. So the internship at Skateboarder was mainly just riding around with Mike Ballard as he went and shot photos and did stuff for the magazine. Because I only went to the office a handful of times to like scan photos and help organize stuff. The majority of the internship was being in the passenger seat or the back seat of Mike Ballard's car. And so all through what we did, the Emerica Pit, I helped them build the Emerica Pit, which is like a big article where we built all these ramps and took them to this abandoned lot on Wilshire Boulevard and got the whole Soul Technology team, all the Emerica, Etnies, everybody came and skated. So that was insane. So that was like February of 2000. So I've only been in California 4 or 5 months. And already like getting to be a part of this big production where Ed Templeton, Donnie Barley, Rick McCrink, all these guys are like all around me. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Getting to be a part of that. So those are the kind of things I was helping Ballard with through those early months. And I think around April or May, Ballard hit me up and was like, hey, I'm going to go help Jeff Tremaine and these guys film some stuff for a TV show. They're trying to make a Big Brother TV show. You want to come and help? Because I had a minivan at the time, so I had a lot of room to carry people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a minivan. And so, so it was only May. And the first day we went out with the Jackass crew, we were hanging out, filming stuff. And I was just kind of hanging out, driving. And, Ballard had an argument with Jeff Tremaine and left. And Tremaine, I think I took over the camera that day and helped film. But I just remember Jeff being like, hey, like, we still need help. If you want to help, you can come and meet us on the weekends and film. And I was like, yeah, I got nothing to do,
This was the very beginning of Jackass, right?
Yeah, so this is when we're still trying to film. I think they had already gotten the deal for MTV, sold the pilot. So I think when I came in, I was helping to film the first season.
But did you know what it was, kind of? Or did you were just thrown in there and you were like, I don't know these guys, I don't know what I'm filming, basically? Or
Yeah. So I knew Big Brother. I knew the Big Brother videos. And, I was aware that they had tried to sell like a TV show kind of based off all the skits and stuff they did in the Big Brothers. But I was terrified to meet them and terrified to be around them because as much as those videos were amazing, they looked like they could be assholes. They would like slap, especially for an outsider. I felt like if I'm an outsider, they're going to be mean to me, make fun of me, kick me in the nuts, whatever. And it turned out every single person was completely opposite. Jeff Tremaine's a sweetheart. Dimitri's a sweetheart. Johnny Knoxville's a sweetheart. Rick Cott, they're all so nice. And they're not mean to anyone. They just like to mess with each other. And if you're part of that crew, then you're part of the crew. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'd filmed before, like filmed skating and stuff. But I think Jeff Tremaine really liked the raw, shitty filming that we provided. Like that added to the character of the show of just being super shaky, whatever, like not knowing how to film. But it was pretty easy. You just locked off on the stuff. So I kind of learned on the job. Right. But they liked the rawness of just a whole bunch of skaters that don't know what the fuck they're doing making a TV show. So, exactly. And so we just went through the summer filming nonstop and then going out to Pennsylvania with Bam and Ryan Dunn and that whole crew and like just dropped straight into that, filmed those guys. Went to Florida. We met Steve-O, filmed him. He just posted on his Instagram, was like, hey, this is the first thing we ever filmed at Jackass. And it was him swallowing a goldfish and then like throwing it back up while still alive. And it was so crazy. He just posted that and I was like, I filmed that. That's so crazy. Like that was in the corner of a parking lot, just at the end of the day, just like he needs to do a skit or something. So he just randomly did this trick that he never did. Wow. And it's like, that's made it the TV. Everything about that show was just like, I can't believe they're putting this on TV. This is insane. Yeah. Just a bunch of dumb skaters. So I can't believe the world, they like got paid and made millions of dollars off doing the craziest shit. It
is pretty crazy, especially that it's still going somewhat, like they're still doing movies and it's still successful and everything. And so, it's nuts.
It's bonkers. And it's bonkers to be, like, I was part of that whole ground floor of that whole experience. And
You witnessed it, like, developing, for sure.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Do you remember like what would be like the gnarliest thing you filmed or that like you witnessed during your time over there?
Yes.
Do you have a memory that sticks out or?
Yes, I feel like the gnarliest thing we filmed was Ryan Dunn. So when we flew to Pennsylvania, got off the airplane, drove straight to Westchester, met up with Bam and Ryan Dunn. We put our bags down and are like, all right, let's go. We're going to go film a skit. The first thing we filmed, the first time we met Ryan Dunn, and then we go to a sewage plant and he gets naked pretty much with that and jumps in the sewer, the sewage.
I remember seeing that, yeah.
And you're just filming and you're just like, everything's just going and everything's normal. And like, do we know what's down there? Is there like a big churner that's going to be like, is it going to get chopped up? Like, what is going on? That was bonkers. Like, but it was like normal. Like, oh, we're just doing something crazy. Ha ha. And then when you think about it, you're like, holy shit, that is insane. That is so fucking gross and insane. And the crazy thing is he didn't take a shower after he got out. So the rest of that evening, he didn't take a shower. He was he just like wiped off with like a towel. And oh my God, he went and we went to Bam's house and ate dinner. And he came and sat down and at dinner, like still smelling like shit. And so April made him go sit at a table by himself out by the street. And so there's a clip, I think, in the like credits of him eating at a little kid's table out by the street, and we're throwing footballs at him while he's trying to eat and his food explodes.
Wow.
So yeah. So I think that was an introduction to just like, holy crap, this is insane. Like, this is wild.
Yeah.
So that definitely was probably one of the crazy.
I remember watching that. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, yeah.
Super gross.
So to bring it back to like skateboarder and everything, like so you were kind of doing both things at that time, interning at Skateboarder and slowly, you know, getting more and more responsibilities over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you were filming for Jackass on the side. And I think you said on the 9 Club that Meza was basically kind of blocking you from going there too much to help out on Jackass or something. So like how long did you kind of run those two things separately?
That was pretty quick. So May of 2000, I started filming with Jackass, filmed the whole first season all through the summer of 2000 and into the fall. Mm-hmm. And then around October is when Meza and Ballard and everybody, Ballard was leaving Skateboarder. He was leaving as the photo editor, so they needed to fill that slot with someone. And Meza wanted to hire me, or they all agreed they wanted to just bring me in because they just needed someone that was in the office that can kind of help around and just help do anything and everything.
Okay.
So I got the title of photo editor, but I was mainly just like a paid intern. Like I could do whatever they needed because Meza was still the photo editor. He was still picking the photos and
right, yeah.
You know, but I would send them out to get scanned. I was doing all the grunt work to do that. So when I started in October, or when they offered me the job, I was like, hell yes, I want to work at a skate magazine. Yes. Jackass. I was like, this is cool, but this is never going to last. This won't last. I've seen MTV shows come and go. This won't last. Yeah. Skateboarder is the way to go. Boy, 20 years later, they're still making movies. Yeah. But I remember Tremaine was like, he goes, what are they offering? I feel like I remember him saying, you sure you don't want to stay? I can like match what they're paying you or pay you more or whatever. And I was like, no, it's okay. I'll still come and help you guys film when I can if you guys are cool with that. And he was like, yeah. And so when I went to Skateboarder, those early days of Skateboarder, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know what I needed to do. So there was a lot of time just sitting, twiddling my thumbs, waiting for something to do. Mm-hmm. And so there were a few times that Jackass office would call and say, hey, we're going to go film something today. Can you come? And I would be able to go film a few things here and there. But a lot of it was like, Meza's like, I just want you around the office. I don't want you to not getting caught up and swept back away into that because I had a responsibility at Skateboarder. So
right.
I poked fun at him for like not letting me go or whatever, like a mean dad or something. Like, nope, you can't go out with your friends today. Like, nope, you got to stay home and clean up here. So that was kind of the vibe. So the second season of Jackass, I helped film a little bit of that, but obviously slowly they were growing and they were able to hire more help. And me not being able to go out and help as much or whatever, I kind of just slowly faded out of like going out with them a lot. But they have like a tight knit crew. So I was always like welcomed to kind of be a part of it. And since I was there for the early days, I could kind of like go see them, or like I think the first movie they made, I was like, Jeff, I want to film something for the movie or whatever. So the first movie I got to film like 2 skits, like
nice
camera B or whatever for like 2 skits, and then from there just Skateboarder started getting more busy work or whatever and stuff. So that became my main priority with Skateboarder. Mm-hmm. But I was excited. Like, I never regretted leaving Jackass because it was like an amazing experience. But I knew my heart was skateboarding. I wanted to do something with skateboarding. Jackass was just a bonus. That was like a bonus, magical fairy tale storyline to add to the like Skateboarder Magazine story.
Right, yeah. It was a fun like side gig while you were focusing on skateboarding through Skateboarder.
Exactly, yeah. And that was all within a year. What's crazy is like, I've told you, 99 Halloween, and by October of the following year, I'd worked at Jackass, left Jackass, started at Skateboarder. I met my wife-to-be right before I started at Skateboarder. So it was like that first year in California was
highly productive.
Insane.
Yeah.
Highly productive. Like, that was so crazy. I still trip out on it. Like, I constantly can think back and go, wow, that's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was all meant to happen. So tell me about like the following years at Skateboarder, because then you moved to Transworld, but that was a few years later, I think in 2013 maybe?
13. Yeah.
Right. So you were a skateboarder for like 12 years, more or less, something like that?
Yeah.
And I think you stayed until the very, very end, actually, of Skateboarder.
Yeah.
And I was curious to know, because you must have seen it coming, sort of, like the end of the magazine and everything. You probably saw a lot of people leaving ship, like Meza went to Crailtap. Some of your colleagues must have gone to Transworld or other skate media or something.
Yeah.
What made you kind of stick around till the very, very end? Like, why didn't you jump ship earlier?
Yeah, so Meza left like in 2004. Around that time, he left. So we've been dealing with at Skateboarder, like it was always a struggle. Like right when I first came in, there was a lot of money in skating. There was like tons of revenue, not a lot of stress on us as a mag. But it's even in the early 2000s, it was a lot of the advertising sales were kind of going down and so they put pressure on you. Like, how are you guys going to be different? We need to get brands excited about the magazine. So there was a lot of pressure on us from above to like do something different, make a kids magazine. I don't know, like there's like 5 magazines out. Like, how are you guys different? You're like, oh my God, like so insane. Anyway, I think a lot of that added a lot of pressure on us. And so Meza was finally like over having to deal with it. And so he went back to Crailtap. Oliver Barton and Mike O'Mealy had went to Transworld. Okay. And this is all around the time too when the Skateboard Mag started. So Skateboard Mag, all those guys left Transworld, and so there was a huge hole at Transworld. And so they got some of our photographers went over there. So it was a big shifting of like who was where, blah, blah, blah. And I remember us sitting and kind of meeting about when Meza was like, I'm probably going to leave. What do you got? What are we going to do? Like, I was like, I don't have anything else to do. I'll ride it out. I'll ride the magazine out. This is a dream job. So I'll just figure it out and I'll help. I had learned how to like the magazine and run and operate it all the way up until that point. So Meza and all those guys left. Mackenzie left. And so it was seriously for a few issues, it was just me and Donnie Miller, an art director. So just 2 people at Skateboarder trying to like feel like making the magazine from start to finish. And we still had like Brian Gaberman and Ben Colin as photographers on staff and still working with a bunch of contributing photographers, John Bradford. And so I was like, I knew how the magazine ran. I knew how to get it all to production and everything. So I just kind of stayed there because I didn't know what else I was going to do. So I was like, I'll write it out. So I held it together until they were able to, hire more people to come in and get it stabilized. And so from there, it felt pretty stable for a few years. But even then, our bosses at Skateboarder, there was just always turmoil or like stress from above for years at Skateboarder. Like, so for a long time, I was like, I don't know, is this our last issue? Like even in like 2007, 2008.
Already? Wow.
Yeah, already. Like, because even when Meza and those guys left, that was like the first sign of like, this mag is a kind of an outsider mag. It's not one of the big Thrasher Transworld. Yeah. So it's like,
how long is this going to last? And
yeah, how long is that going to last? It's a good magazine. People respected it. It's just the money wasn't fully there or whatever. And then, so I remember like even in 2007, 8, 9 maybe, things were tough with our bosses at that time. And I was like trying to get out. I was hitting up Jeff Tremaine every month going, hey, can I come back to Jackass? Is there anything there? Like, I'm kind of going crazy here. Like, I don't know how long this is going to last. And so I was like seriously stressing out and like, I don't want to be here. It's just like really tough. But, he was always like, man, we don't have anything right now. Like, we're kind of in between projects. And so he was always taking my calls and just letting me know, like, if there ever is anything come up, I could possibly. But I was already moved. I lived in Dana Point, which is an hour south of LA. So I wasn't really able, even if he said, yeah, you can come work, I'd be like, oh God, I got to commute back to LA or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So it was kind of tough for a few years, but we held it together and just wanted to make a cool magazine. And the whole time was just like, well, if we're going to be here, maybe one day it's going to get better. Maybe one day it'll get better. And so that's why I stuck it out all the way to the very end, even knowing, because that's when we went bi-monthly and did the oversized magazine, like in 2010, 11. That was like a reaction of like, how do we make the mag different? How do we make people excited about the mag? So we had to change it up and make the format different and go bi-monthly. And those are some of my favorite magazines we made at Skateboarder, because being bi-monthly every 2 months instead of a monthly magazine gives you a little bit more time to breathe. You can try to work on stuff and make a better product. So I was super excited about those issues of Skateboarder that we did. And then, that was only like 2.5 years. And then they came back again like, like things are bad. Like the advertising revenue's down. We got to switch it up again. And then they fully made us like, we got to go digital. This is the future.
Oh,
tablets,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
So the last 3 issues of Skateboarder were digital first, and then we still made a super nice print copy of those issues, but we were digital first. And we had to like totally change our mindset of how to make magazines, because we're thinking digital first. Like, if we shoot a portrait of someone, how do we animate it? So this is the early days of GIFs or whatever. It's like, well, we should shoot like a sequence portrait of people so that you can make it animate on the digital version. And this is when you're trying to think of like content for the magazine, but you also had to think, well, how do we got to incorporate video links now. You got to like add video content. So it would just totally change your thinking of how to make a magazine, because we're only thinking digital first, and the print mag was a secondary thing. It's very stressful. Yeah, for sure. And so, but you were hoping like things, like it was cool, like it was exciting and fun, but it was just you get yourself in that mindset. And then one day they're like, hey, our company just bought Transworld. We bought all the Transworld magazines and all the properties over there, and you're like, they have like a surf magazine. We already have 2 surf magazines over here. They're bringing in Transworld Surf. We have Skateboarder. They're going to bring in Transworld Skate. That's a lot of duplication. So they're going to get rid of some of these things. Like, oh shit. And then one of the Transworld editor, Kevin Duffel, had recently left Transworld, so there was an empty spot there. So my boss was like, hey, we're probably going to shut down Skateboarder, but there's an opportunity for you to go to Transworld if you want to try out for that job or whatever. It's like under the same company and everything. And I was like, well, I love Skateboarder. This is where my heart and soul and all this hard work I've put into it through all these years or whatever. I'd rather you guys keep Skateboarder. We can make it cool. Now that if you're buying to other companies, there should be some money to keep this thing going. But either way, so they shut it down. They were like, nope, we're shutting it down. And I was like, shit, well, I'm going to go try for the job at Transworld. And so I got the editor-in-chief job at Transworld while I was still kind of at Skateboarder. So there was never any like break. I was never kind of like jobless or whatever. Like, I was never unemployed. So I was like, even when they shut down Skateboarder, we still got like severance pay for like 2 or 3 months. But even by the time that ended, I was already started at Transworld. But that was such a wild experience, because like I was saying, we went bi-monthly years before that. And so I was in a mindset of like every other month, and then obviously the last like 6 months to a year of Skateboarder was digital. So my mind was like, how do we make digital magazines, doing all this? And then boom, I went straight back to a monthly print magazine at Transworld, and I was like, holy shit. That was a super gnarly like slap in the face of like, oh my God, I gotta like rethink magazines again. I gotta go back to the grind of every month putting out a magazine. And they seriously were like, can you try to do the digital Skateboarder stuff with Transworld? And I was like, no. Are you fucking kidding? I was like, these things are monthly? Like, there's no way to think digital content. And so I just shut that down completely of like even trying to attempt to do anything digital. I was like, this is a big time print magazine, making magazines every month. Just got to do that. So, but I was like super honored. Like, I didn't want to go to Transworld at first because I was so in love with Skateboarder and just always was that outside magazine. But once I got to Transworld and realized like, this is the first magazine I ever had. Like, the history of this brand is amazing. Like, it felt really cool. And I was like honored to be a part of it and try to help steer it back into like whatever, try to get it going again, like trying to like save it too.
So how long did you work at Transworld? It was until not that long ago, right? Until right after COVID or something? After COVID started?
So I was let go at Transworld in January of 21. So I was there for 7 years. So I was there for a while, and then they stopped, and we got bought by another company in 2019. They stopped printing all the magazines.
Yeah, a couple years before you left, right?
Yeah, and so we mainly were just like, what do we do now? And so right at that time, we were making a Day One song documentary.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a cool thing, kind of like we were going to make like a small little legend video for the magazine. Like, we give out the Legend Award every year at Transworld, and Day One was the legend of that year. And so we were going to make like a 10-minute video, but since they cut our print and we didn't have now we were digital again. We got to make digital content videos and all this. We worked with Adidas and just made Day One into a feature-length full video, because it was just me, Joe Pease, and Mike Fitz were still at Transworld. So there was like a small staff, and Blair Alley was there, we just focused on that. We focused on making Day One video, and then after that, we started getting pressure again. You're just kind of feeling like, oh, crazy, like, what are we doing? Like, holy crap, this sucks, and then you got bosses saying, you got to make weekly YouTube content, it's just like, oh God. So the last few years at Transworld were pretty rough, and then of course COVID hit, and then our last hoorah was like a skate and create. We finally got skate and create going again, out in the streets with like Birdhouse and a few other brands, and so that was like an insane thing to try to pull off during COVID, even out in the world. Like, you know, we were going to try to do it in the warehouse. COVID hit, had to take it to the streets, and we're able to pull it off. But that was like the last thing I was a part of there, and then after that is when they let everybody go besides like one person at each of the brands to keep those brands kind of pumping on social media and the website and stuff.
Yeah. And so you were telling me before that a couple of years before you joined Transworld, you were kind of focusing on a more digital side of doing a magazine. But eventually, when you went to Transworld, you focused back to like doing a print magazine and a monthly magazine. But were there ever like talks, discussions of kind of trying to develop a bit more this digital side of a skateboard magazine? Or was it kind of, at what point did they decide like, no, this is maybe not a road we want to go down or something? Like,
it was pretty quick, because even before I got to Transworld, that era, Transworld was already sending out, like, they had digital subscriptions to the magazine before I even got there.
Okay.
So people would get a digital copy of the magazine they could look at, and they were trying to incorporate little video content in there, here and there, or whatever. But as soon as I got there, I realized like how insane that was to try to coordinate, because you're trying to do a website too, right? So you're trying to do a print magazine every month, and you're trying to build a website with content that has like weekly, daily content on it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, trying to make the digital version of the magazine have exclusive content to that was just too much. It was like too much to think about. Yeah. And so I quickly was like, I'm not doing it. Like I can't do it. And so, you know, things just kept moving along, and they seriously just didn't bother asking anymore or push us to do that, because it was more like, we'll get the website, you know, do more content video wise on the site and stuff.
Yeah. And also social media started, I think Instagram started in 2012. So that was another like thing you needed to deal with.
Exactly.
Did you do an Instagram for Transworld straight away, or did it take a few years before you started that?
Yeah, they had it once I got there. Instagram was going by that time, and so and that's definitely another factor I forgot about, is like the social media explosion at that time. So the whole digital magazine, and realizing people, everybody's eyeballs were going to social media, so you had to focus on the website, social media, and print. So it was just a lot of avenues, and that's the thing too, right? You're adding all of this additional work and additional ways of outputting content, but not hiring additional people. You're still the same staff that was making a print mag, right, for all these years, and maybe, you know, doing a little bit of website stuff, and then the website grows and you got to hire more videographers and stuff, and you try to do that, and all of a sudden now social media, you got to do stuff specifically for that, but we're not hiring any new people, and you're like, so everybody's wearing more than one hat, and it starts being draining,
burning everyone out. And
exactly, burning them out. I mean, you're still like stoked that you're working in skateboarding, and you know, but it is a reality of just being burnt out with like so much work and so much stress of trying to like the rat race.
Exactly. Yeah. And also we didn't mention, but Transworld was doing for a long time all the videos, which were like once a year, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it was like around a year. Yeah.
So but I mean, there was all these different like platforms or things that you needed to provide content for. So I mean, I can imagine it being extremely stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, especially those early days of the like early 2000s Transworld, like they were like, the mag was like 400 pages, you know, so there was a lot of money in skating at that time. So they were able to hire a bunch of like people to help run that. And through the years, it just slowly dwindled, but still needing to create the same amount of content, if not more, but with less people.
How do you make that work? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you left Transworld in January 2021, so more or less a year after COVID started. When you left, did you have kind of an idea of what you were going to do, or were you already thinking of launching a magazine, or did that idea come about a bit later?
Yeah, so the idea of the magazine came a little bit later. Like after I got let go from Transworld, I seriously just wanted to take a break. Like I was saying, like the last few years were super stressful with just trying to deal with making something out of nothing. I seriously, and I was like, I've been working in the industry for 20 years of deadlines and like insane pressure to kind of like perform and make these things, trying to reinvent the wheel. It was always feeling like it's skateboarding. You make skate videos, you do interviews, you do cool articles, but you always felt like they were trying to make you, and brands or whatever were trying to make you reinvent the wheel and do something super crazy and different and wild. And you're like, well, it's skateboarding. So like, I just needed a break. I was like, I just want to take a break. You get a severance, you know, and like, it's like, all right, I'm going to take some time. I just want to skate and figure out the next move. I was like, I'll figure out, I'll go work for a shoe brand. I'll go work somewhere else in skateboarding, maybe, you know, just try to like, because I have a family, you know, it's like I got to provide for my family and all that. So I was like, just telling my wife, like, just give me some time. I just want to take a break and figure it out. And then, so the mag didn't even hit me right away, but it quickly did. After I looked around for jobs, I saw that there wasn't a lot that I was excited about to go work for. There weren't a lot of opportunities for one, and then two, the ones that were out there weren't stuff I could like get excited about or like put my heart and soul into. And I feel like someone mentioned doing another mag, or my old boss. One of my old bosses at Skateboarder and Transworld is a super good friend and like lives in the same city as me, and we're like still talk. And he's actually one of the people that helped advise me on the starting a new mag. So I think he might have mentioned I should start a mag or try to get a mag going under his brand or something. It's so crazy. It's very recent, but the very origins of it are still a little fuzzy. But I remember just being like, all right, I'll do it. You know what? I think I should try to start a mag or whatever. And then I think what really catapulted that into a reality was Surfer's Journal is a magazine based out of San Clemente, which is like a 30-year-old print magazine. That has been around and it's outlasted all the other magazines, Surfer Magazine, Surfing Magazine, and they built a whole model of a subscription-based print magazine, high-quality print magazine.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so that was the catalyst for all this. So one of the old Surfer Magazine editors that I was friends with at the Skateboarder days was the publisher, Brendan. He's the publisher at Surfer's Journal.
Okay.
And another friend that used to work at Skateboarder, a marketing guy, I saw him at dinner one night, and he was like, hey, I work at a Surfer's Journal now. They might be wanting to start another brand under the Surfer's Journal, like another magazine. And I was like, dude, I've been thinking about trying to start a skate magazine. What if we did a skate magazine through the Surfer Journal brand or whatever? And he was like, yeah, come meet with Brendan and see what can happen. And so that was like, all right, I'm doing it. Like, I can do it. Like, I'll do it with them. We can make this. Like, let them run all the logistics of this thing, and I'll just do a skate mag through them. Like, that's what I know how to do. That's the only thing I know how to do. I'm making skate mags. Like, I have all this knowledge of how to make magazines, and like now it's just like useless unless I do it myself. Yeah. And so I met with Brendan for the summer of 21. All through the summer, kind of just talking back and forth and figuring out if they were able to do something or if not. It kind of came to the point of where he was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, start another brand. Because this is when inflation was starting to ramp up super gnarly. And so their costs started skyrocketing with printing and shipping because they get their mag printed in China. And so that whole thing was like super gnarly. Money was just like crazy through the roof for them. So he was like, dude, I don't think we can take on another brand here or whatever. But he goes, I believe, after meeting and us talking, he's like, I believe you can do this on your own. He goes, I'll help you. I'll give you like whatever you kind of need, like business wise, like business advice. You should do it on your own. And I was like, I don't want to do it on my own. I'm scared. Like, it's like, I'm scared. Like, I don't know how to like do the logistics of this. I've only, somebody else always printed the mag and got it made and did all the advertising sales.
Yeah.
But he built me up and gave me the confidence that I could fucking do it. And then my old boss, Norb, who I was telling you about earlier, like I met with him a bunch, and both of those, they were just so supportive and so like, fucking do it. You can do it.
Yeah,
there's no other like major encouraging, and they're like, there's only Thrasher. There's no other major skate magazines. And if you do take the Surfer's Journal model, that would be a good model for a skate mag. There's like an older audience that would like appreciate a high quality magazine. And you can still do new stuff in it.
Sure.
And so that was the catalyst of just like, all right. So I just kind of got tossed back into I'm going to do it. I got to do it. All right, I'm going to try to do this, and just went for it. I took another shot. Like, I felt like it was part 2 of my drive from South Carolina to California into the unknown of like, I'm just going to go try and see what happens. And so this was like another moment where I was like, if it fails, all good. I will go get a job wherever, Starbucks, the grocery store, whatever skate brand. It's like, I'll go do whatever it takes, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to try and see if this works.
Yeah.
And a year into it, it seems to be working pretty good. And it's like so fucking satisfying and crazy feeling to like take another stab in the dark and see what happens. And it feels awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing, and congrats to you and everybody who's involved with it. It's a pretty sick endeavor, and I look forward to many, many more issues of it.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like when I was saying I took some time off and started skating more, I've skated more in the past few years than I have in a very, very long time. And I feel like I fell in love with skateboarding more than I ever have, because I feel like maybe at the point in my life where I'm getting older and I realize that time is limited. So I want to get in as much as I can. And I thought I was done like a long time ago, body wise. I was like, oh, my body hurts. I was always having back pain. And I was like, oh, this is just being old. It's over. But somehow I made it through like a rough patch of my back being bad, and skating now, and just in general, like reflecting on my life and career at that time, I was like, I love skating. This is what I've dedicated my life to. Like, why change that course? Like, dive headfirst into this and make my own path and just keep doing skateboarding, because that's what I love, and I'm fucking well versed in it through the years.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
And that's why, like, there's like just so much more, I don't know, like youthful energy with me with doing the skate mag. I'm like, this is what I love to do. Like, I want to keep telling the story of skateboarding and how awesome it is, no matter what generation it's in, and just offer another avenue for people to like enjoy skateboarding or be introduced to skateboarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been incredible to work with so many people that help make it a reality, because it's not just me, it's like so many people I'm like
of course.
thankful for.
Yeah, magazine is a lot of people involved for sure.
Yeah.
Even though you're like the main guy, but there's still a lot of people involved. But just a side question, since you just mentioned skating a lot these last few years, and and it's sick. I love seeing you skate like on Instagram and everything, and it's super inspiring. I'm 35, so I'm a bit younger, but I have like shitty ankles. My knees are like awful. I can barely skate anymore. But like when I see you and other, like I saw that Jérémy Daclin from Film Trucks and everything came to California recently, and you skated with him.
Yep.
It's just so motivating to see people like you that are still skating so well, so hard, like every day pretty much. And it's, I feel like, I'm like 15 years younger, more or less, but I'm not even really skating anymore. When I see you guys, I'm like, wow, like I have really no excuses. These guys are, and they have busy lives, they have children, they have a lot of shit going on, and they're still skating hard. So that's really inspiring, yeah. What I wanted to ask you was just basically how do you, I guess one secret to keep skating well is obviously to skate a lot, maybe skate very regularly.
Yes.
But like, do you do other stuff outside of skating to like maintain, like to take care of your body? Like, I assume you must like stretch, or maybe you do yoga or stuff like that. Like, what do you do to, keep skating like every day like you do?
What's funny is I don't do any stretching. I don't do anything. Like, I only skate. And I use, my thing is the cardio part of it. I try to skate at least an hour a day, if not more. But every day I'm like, if I get an hour, and the hour is nonstop skating. Like, when I go to a skate park or go to a skate spot, I don't ever sit down, and I talk to my friends a little bit, but I don't ever want to hang out. I seriously am like on a mission. Like, I want to keep my blood circulating. I want to keep my heart going. I want to just keep going. And seriously, like, I think about it, it's like, I can drive to LA for an hour, get out the car and just start skating. I don't like stretch or anything. My body's feeling better than it has in years. I probably should stretch or whatever, but I still have back pain here and there, but I seriously, try to do push-ups here and there and try to like stay a little bit fit or whatever, but it's mainly just the constant everyday skating and moving your body or whatever. But I don't have any routine.
It's working. I mean, when I see your footage, it's definitely working. And Jérémy also, like, he's super inspiring. Like, he's still skating, I think, every day more or less, and still skating super well. And it's
that's the motivating factor to me, is seeing Jérémy, like all the like curb crushers up in LA.
Yeah.
Even like the Tony Hawks of the world. Like everybody, like there's just a whole new mentality of like, you're not over it. Like, you can keep pushing this as far as you want it. So like, we're seeing like how far, like Ron Allen's 60. He's still out there doing, skating street. And I'm like, that is awesome. Like, people have pains and stuff. And like, I just want people to know that maybe you can get over the hump of any like painful stuff you're going through, maybe, and try to get into a regimen of like working your, building your body up and just keep going, like keep pushing it to see how far you can go it, because it's so fun. And like the repetition is the key for sure. If you have a part close to you that you can like keep moving, like with transition where you can keep even that little bit, not even doing tricks, just pump and keep your heart going, you know, maybe that'll help like loosen you up or whatever. It feels good. That's my whole thing is like, I just want to roll. I just want to stand on my board and roll. So
yeah.
That sensation still is an amazing feeling. So.
So to bring it back to Closer, I was wondering if you could tell me like about maybe coming up with a name and like pitching it to some of the people that were involved with the first issue, because we'll talk about the more recent issues, but how did you come up with the name Closer, and like how did you kind of present it to like Eric Swisher and all the other guys that are involved with it?
Yeah, so coming up with a name is one of the toughest things to do.
For sure.
You put together the list of like hundreds of words and phrases or whatever that sound cool, and then you slowly narrow it down to like what is already taken, what's already out there, how can you put a spin on it or whatever. But Joy Division is one of my favorite bands of all time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm obsessed with the band and just how emotional and raw and like amazing their music and lyrics are and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just always thought, you know, even Unknown Pleasures album cover is like amazing. And then Closer album cover is like...
Oh, that's right. I didn't remember they had a...
Yeah,
okay.
so that's
makes sense.
Where that came from. And it's like, and I was just like, Closer just mean, you know, I was like, I feel closer to skateboarding than I ever have. I want to bring people closer to skateboarding. I was like, it works in that facet. And then I was like, skateboarding photography and filming is based on fisheye photography, you know, like you get close to the action. So I was like, it works in all those like angles of just getting closer to the action, getting closer to something you love, holding it close.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, you know, goes back to being a really cool fucking album that I love. So I was like, that would be cool to call it Closer and have like that connection to music and love of just like raw emotion, and try to put that same kind of emotion and sincerity into a print magazine on that level. And so that's where the name came from. And then, and working with Eric has been amazing. So we've been friends for a super long time, Eric Swisher and I. Yep. Even all the way back at the skateboarder days, I would hit him up about scans and like stuff. And then when he started doing the interviews, I became a big fan of all the like his skate knowledge and his interviews and everything. And then we actually became friends for a long time. And then he moved to the San Clemente where I live, and we started skating together and hanging out. And he's always been so supportive of what I was doing. I was supportive of what he's doing. And when I told him I was going to start a mag, he's like, man, you're crazy. You're going to start a print mag? I was like, I don't have any other choice. I got to do it. And he's like, well, if you need help, man, I will help you. Like, I'll do interviews for you, work with you, whatever you need. And I was like, dude, that means so much to me to like have you have my back like that. Yeah. And to add your credibility, your like knowledge of skateboarding and just everything was super huge. So he was sold on it right away. Like he was like, yeah, amazing. I got you. I'm down to help you. Now he goes, I would love to be a part of a print mag, you know, because like that's what I started doing. I started scanning magazines from my childhood because I loved it. So exactly. Our relationship is great, and he was down. And so like I'm like so honored to have him working and putting his trust in me and Sammy, our art director, to kind of lay out these giant interviews or whatever. And that's the beauty of this magazine, is having that, you know, space to just do. A lot of times at Skateboarder and Transworld days, a lot of the articles became advertorials, where brands were always expecting to have, you know, that's the way it turned into it. The early days of Skateboarder, and we never, like, you didn't work with the advertisers as much. You were stoked to have them in the mag. They were in the mag. You did content that you kind of interviews with skaters and stuff that you wanted to. And slowly through time, you started to having to coordinate more and more with these brands are advertising. We got to make sure their writers are specifically in the mag in some fashion, blah, blah, blah. And through the years, it just kind of got a little bit more than it should have been or whatever. So I feel like with this mag, with Closer, I'm able to start it out on a fresh, clean slate of like, if you're advertising in the mag, you're helping to support the vision of the magazine and trusting me that I'm going to make good quality content that your brand's going to be associated with. And if your writers are incorporated, that's great. You know, like I want to stoke you guys out and have them in the mag. But so being able to do like super full length interviews with like old skaters that some of them are still sponsored and some of them aren't, you know, like, you know, really in the skate sphere. Like We have Brian Lottie coming up in the next issue.
Yeah, Eric told me he had an interview with Brian for issue number 4, right?
Yeah, so like, he's not a sponsored skater anymore.
Yeah, but he's a legend.
He's a legend, but you know what I mean? Like, so we're able to like give space to like, that doesn't necessarily have to do with any sort of advertising, to it or whatever. It's like, it's really cool to be able to have that freedom to make rad content, and like having Eric be a part of that, it's been monumental. It's been huge.
Yeah. And so who are some of the other people that you involved in the project at the very beginning? You mentioned Eric and Sammy. Is Sammy Spiteri, right? Is he the
Sammy Spiteri. Yeah.
Was he involved at the very beginning, or did he come in a bit later maybe?
Yeah, he came in at the beginning. So Sammy was an intern at Snowboarder Magazine when I was at Transworld. And we skated the Transworld part together a few times. Like, hey, what's up, Sammy? Oh, the one in the snowboard guys skates. That's cool. All right, cool. And then he was interned for like a summer or a while, and then he was gone. But we started following each other on Instagram, so I still was in touch with him for a few years just through Instagram. And then he worked at DC for a while. And then I think when I initially wanted to do the mag, I hit up Keegan Callahan, the old Transworld art director that I worked with, to see if he'd be able to help get it off the ground. But he was so busy with his new job, he wasn't sure he could commit to it, which I needed someone to be committed to it.
Yeah.
And somehow I feel like I came across Sammy on Instagram and realized, I was like, oh yeah, Sammy's an art director. Like maybe he could help out. He's young and kind of like fresh and kind of would be stoked to work with it, to do a print mag.
Right.
And so I hit him up. So he was on from the very beginning. He helped me come up with the logo. He helped me like get my original decks built to send out to advertisers. And he's been huge too. Like he's such an amazing art director and he has a full-time job at Huff, which he got hired at Huff like right as we were about to start working on the first issue.
Oh, wow.
Before that, he was freelance, and I was like, oh, he's freelance, so he'll have time to work on the mag, do his freelance project, and then all of a sudden it was, boom, I got a full-time job at Huff, and I was like, oh, man, is that going to mess it? And he goes, no, I got it. And I was like, okay. And he's been crushing it this whole year. Like, he's able to bang out what I send him at night and weekends and put in the hard work. And so it's been super cool to work with him and be able to make it, like, I send him, like, a rough mock-up of the layout of stuff, just as far as, like, this photo needs to be full page, this photo is this half page, and then, like, the person's name just in a basic font, and I send it to him, and then he sends it back all packaged up, beautiful, art-directed, and I'm like, dude, this is amazing. Like, I don't ever have, like, any kind of tweaks to his art direction. I'm just like, this is perfect. Like, I just need to like tweak. Yeah, I trust him so much, and I just have to tweak the text. We have to go back through and copy edit the text and stuff. But he's been doing a fantastic job and like crushing it. So I'm like, again, honored to have him on board, helping out. And then Farran Golding's been killing it. Yeah, he's got the young, eager, like he's so ambitious and stuff, and it's what I need, because I feel like I'm like an old fogey. Like slowly, he's like, should we do stuff on the website? I'm like, no, the website's just to take subscriptions right now. Let me get the print mag going. And he's like, well, we need to do more digital content, YouTube stuff. And I'm like, okay, pump. And then he's just like awesome. Like he kills it. He's like an excellent addition to the mag, like a youthful voice that is down to do whatever. He's very professional and just like gets the job done. And it's like so cool to like work with him too.
Yeah. How did you connect with him actually? Because I'm not too sure. I don't really know him well. So how old is he? Is he like in his 20s or early 30s or?
Yeah, late 20s, I think. I could be I think he's late 20s, mid 20s. He's young, yeah.
Is he in the UK?
Yeah, he's in the UK. What's funny is he told me we met in New York one time a few years ago, and I don't remember it right offhand or whatever. But yeah, we just connected. I can't even remember how we connected. Like, I feel like I told him I was starting a mag and he wanted to contribute.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even remember how we like fully met or whatever, but I just knew he offered up helping out right away, and I was like super stoked to have him join in, and like with Eric and him helping, and then Sammy, like it was just like a all-star team for me to kind of get started and get it going. Yeah,
for sure, rad people.
Yeah, and just I want them to feel ownership of the mag as well. So yeah, it's been great. Like we've all been sharing in it. Yeah.
And so I was wondering, like, how many issues do you get to print? Like, for example, you just printed issue number 4.
Yeah.
For this issue and perhaps for the previous ones, how did you decide, like, how many you were going to print?
Oh, yeah.
Do you print exactly the number depending on, like, the subscriptions? Or do you print a bit extra in case there are others coming in? How do you deal with, like, quantity and prints? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, the initial run was a very tough kind of decision to understand how many to make. The subscriptions through the first year were awesome. Like they came in, I don't want to give out any specific numbers right now.
Yeah, of course.
But I'll talk in vague, like, yeah. So the subscriptions came in, so that was like a good base. I was like, all right, so I have this many subscriptions. And that's why I had to take subscriptions early on, months before the mag even came out, right? So I had to build up a base of what I was going to gauge how many to make on. And I knew, like, when people started their subscriptions, the early ones, that I wasn't going to be able to get out 4 issues within that time that they started. So I was just like, you got to trust me. And like, I'll get you, I got the autograph Grant Britton prints to put in the first 300 subscriptions to kind of like be a bonus for like signing up and to like kind of be a part of that, what you're paying for. Right. Because I knew the subscription thing would be off. But that's how I used that to gauge. So I had to have a base. And then I just took a wild guess and just ordered like double of that amount, if not more. Okay. Just because I knew, I was like, I think this is a good thing to start on. And then skate shops and then individual sales would add, I would hope, the same amount, if not more. So like it was a wild guess. I just took a wild guess. And then of course, like it's very expensive to print a very nice magazine. Yeah. So I kind of like was like, all right, this is the kind of print range, the number I need to stay within. That was one thing where Brendan at Surfer's Journal kind of gave me like a loose budget idea that I could build the business around or whatever. So I kind of used what they projected I should spend on the printing and just use that as the base. And so that helped out a lot. So I just kept the order number within that range of a budget that they kind of put in there. Okay. And it worked out. I mean, the first issue sold out and then the second issue didn't sell all the way out yet or whatever, but it's like down. So I like after the second issue, I kind of got a range of where I think I needed to be with the order number or whatever. And it's been pretty good so far. Like I don't want to, especially because the printer sends out all the subscription copies from their building and then I go grab all the extra ones and bring them to my house, put them in the garage. And then my little workstation over here is where I send out all the skate shop and individual copies. I package them up here. Oh, so you send out every single magazine that you sell? No. Yeah, the printer sends out the subscription, so that's why they all go out in one big bulk. So that's like boom, all of that. Right. But everybody that orders a single copy on Shopify, a single copy, right? Okay. Yeah, single copy in skate shops. Yeah, it's still a lot. Like it's almost as much as the subscriptions, if not more. So I send them all out from here. So I'm like, yeah, it's very personalized. I say thank you on every single. I write thank you on every single copy that I like send out because I'm like so appreciative of people spending their hard-earned cash on this stuff. For sure. So yeah, and so what I say is like my garage will be one day it's going to be filled up with the extra copies and stuff. So I got to like make sure I'm ordering the right amount so I'm not like having a big storage issue in the future. Yeah. But the mags still continuously sell. Obviously, people are constantly finding out about the magazine. And so when they do, they go back and order the back copies. And especially this first year, I'm like, even if I have a few extra copies laying around, I'm like, they're going to be gone in the future because I know people will want to definitely get that first copy. When people ask about the first copy, I'm like, hit up this shop list and see if any of these shops still have a copy just sitting there collecting dust that you might be able to get because I have a few copies left myself, but maybe they're going to be very expensive one day. If somebody wants it or whatever. So like try to get them. So yeah. So we mentioned this earlier about you deciding to do a quarterly magazine. And I guess based on your previous experience at Skateboarder and Transworld doing like either monthly or bi-monthly issues, what made you decide to do quarterly? And did you decide to do that straight away? Or were you kind of hesitating between doing it bi-monthly or maybe once every 6 months or something? Like how did you decide to do it at that pace? Yeah, I think Surfer's Journal, they're bi-monthly now, but I think when they started out, they were quarterly. Okay. And so I think I just took that into account right away. And then I knew I didn't want to go bi-monthly. That was too much. And then if I would have went less, I don't think I could have brought in enough revenue to kind of like, so it seemed like 4 was like the perfect number as far as like revenue that you could project of getting for the advertising in the mag would be able to sustain where I could just focus on this and not have another full-time job or whatever. So I think 4 is like, I was like, that's perfect amount of time in between each issue to kind of, I spend like a month shipping out stuff like every day, like dealing with customer service. Like I email every single person back that emails me if their mag got lost in the mail or like has problems with the subscription stuff. Like I try to be as, present for all of that as possible, as quickly as possible. Hands-on. Yeah, so hands-on. So, and then the original, like starting the mag was difficult in the sense that I was like, holy shit, I'm starting from scratch. I have no photo database. I have nothing. Like, I went to Skateboarder and Transworld, and they have 30, years each or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, just historical photos, like archives. They had photographers built in.
Right.
And so, like, it took a long time at the very beginning. That was one thing. I feel like that was like a big hurdle. It's like hitting up all my photographer friends, being like, hey, I'm trying to start a mag. Can you send me photos? Like, I don't care if you posted them on Instagram, as long as they just haven't run anywhere. Will you please just send me as much as you can, so that I might not use all of them, but I just need to have a database of photos that I can pull from and get ideas from.
Yeah.
And that would help me build some sort of editorial calendar of like who I could do stuff with.
Sure.
Because there was, at the mags for years, it was like, we don't run this photo because the footage has come out. You can't run the photo because the footage has come out. And so that whole thing, when I started this mag, I was like, I don't care about that. I need photos, So it was like it was refreshing to feel free of like, I don't care if you've posted on Instagram, as long as it hadn't been printed anywhere. And I don't care if the footage has come out. Mm-hmm. The mag is going to be celebrating skateboarding and like preserving and archiving skateboarding. So like a photo is going to last forever, whatever. So
for sure.
Send me all your photos. And it took a while. And then, some people are like, you're starting a mag? What? And so it took a while to kind of get people. I knew like, as long as I got enough to build a first issue and I'd be able to show people a physical copy, then it would be easier to get things going and people would understand like, oh, this is what he's talking about. This is what he's making.
Yeah.
So it's just grown since then. And people were very supportive at the very beginning as far as photographers and stuff. So
cool.
But it does help to show them a physical product of like, this is what your photos look like when you send them. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to the print. I was wondering, like, I think you told me the other day that you were printing close to your house. And so what made you decide to print over there rather than, for example, in China, like some other magazines that you worked at? Or I'm assuming it must be much more expensive, but at the same time, you probably have a lot more control over the quality of the product and everything. So what made you decide on printing close to your house?
When I was talking to the Surfers Journal people, they get their stuff printed in China, and then they said it takes like 2 months because it gets on a boat. It takes so long to get over here. And I was like, well, I definitely can't do that. Like, especially starting this, I can't not be involved, seeing the mag printed or have it take that long, because this has already taken a while to get started.
Yeah.
I did price out some stuff in Canada, which was pretty comparable to what I found when I found it, this place called Color Digit in Costa Mesa. Uh-huh. So one of my friends around here knew someone that did a magazine, and they got it printed in Costa Mesa. It was a quarterly magazine that a guy did at his house. His wife was the art director, and he did it all himself. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's like kind of the same situation I'm in or whatever. And he gets it printed right over here in Costa Mesa. So I was like, I went and talked to them, and I was about to do the mag, the paper quality, the same as that one, because it was a kind of a nice magazine or whatever. But they showed me some examples of other high quality magazines that they printed. Mm-hmm. And there was this magazine called Nobleman. Actually, I'll show it to you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This is the magazine I based the like paper quality on or whatever. It's like this rich guy, martinis, drinks, fast cars, like a weird, real
lifestyle kind of mag.
Yeah, lifestyle. But I was like, this feels amazing. And I was like, if I was able to print a skate mag in this quality paper, I think people would be very excited. So
sure, yeah, I
would too. So that's how I base the paper quality and the cover stock is solely that magazine that they made. And so I was like, I just want my mag to look like that.
Yeah.
And so that's how I picked the paper quality with that. And then just knowing that it was close enough that I could go and be on the press check and see this, because I wanted to be very hands-on, especially this first year, like...
Yeah, for sure.
So that was very important to me. I didn't want to do it out of country, out of state. Like, I would pay the little bit more that it was to print here just to, like, be a part of it. And maybe, obviously, down the road, once this thing grows and there's, like, way more, I got to cut costs or something, I would definitely... Because I want to keep the paper quality and all that.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to change that. I would rather just change printers or whatever.
Sure, yeah. No, the quality is amazing. I really like it. It's it definitely feels like a very high quality premium mag. Like, I don't think I've ever experienced that with a skate mag before. Like, especially like growing up, I would buy like Thrasher, Transworld, or some French or European skateboard magazines, which were all amazing, but like the quality was pretty basic. And once I got the first issue of Closer, I was like, wow, okay, like you can tell this is much higher quality, and it's definitely worth paying a bit more and getting that kind of quality. It's like more of a collection kind of magazine, or
Exactly. I want these to be things that people save and keep. I don't want it to be something that's thrown in the back of the van and stepped on or whatever. Like, I want this to be something special, and it is. Like, every one of these is special in the sense that, like, I don't know, I'm pouring everything I have into these to try to make them something that you want to keep. So,
oh, you're doing a great job at it. Yeah, it's
thanks,
definitely
man.
worth it. Yeah,
I appreciate it, Quinn. Thank you.
And so you're about to release issue number 4 in the next few days or weeks. I assume you're going to work a lot on the logistics of sending it out and everything and promoting it perhaps and stuff like that. But like, are you already working on the next one? And are you like working only on issue number 5 at this point? Or are you already thinking of issues number 6, 7, 8? Are you already like thinking, okay, like for issue 7, maybe Eric can interview this guy or something?
Yes.
Like, how do you plan this all out? Like, how far ahead do you plan?
Exactly. So like I was saying, the first year was really hard. I'm still in the first year, whatever. But building up to the first issue was very hard to get the content and build a base. So this first year I've been playing issue by issue. I've been like with a few things trickled over into the next issue maybe, but it's been issue by issue. Like I'm building it as I go with ideas, because a lot of the stuff is what I can get my hands on as far as photography. And then you can build a story around a lot of the imagery and stuff. So that was been the case for this first year. I'm finishing, I have issue 4 at the printer right now, but issue 5 is the most that I've had ready so far or whatever for the next issue. Like I feel very comfortable jumping straight into number 5 right now and kind of like getting a lot of it done a little bit earlier than I have been with the previous issues as far as getting it to Sammy so he's not working on it within a few weeks to go into print. I was like, the idea is like we're making a quarterly magazine. I want to get as ahead of schedule as possible so that things are maybe like worked on for a little bit longer,
smoother and
a bit smoother. But the best part of that too is like I feel like Sammy works great under pressure. I'm sure he probably doesn't like it, but he cranks out stuff so good and quickly. But either way, I want to get ahead issues by issues, and there will be like little holes in each issue that will have to be filled at the time to kind of be a little bit more timely, whatever. But the thing with the mag is like it's supposed to be timeless, so it's like you can plan out a lot of like archival stuff before then. But right now I'm one issue ahead. I hope to be down the road be a few issues ahead of anything, but not stressing out issue by issue.
And so you mentioned that Sammy told you should do a bit more digital stuff, and I think you said also on the 9 Club that... was it Farran? Sorry, I thought it was Sammy.
Farran, yeah.
Right. And I think you said on the 9 Club that you were thinking of potentially in the future doing more digital stuff with Closer. Is that something that will be a bit later still? Like, are you focusing more on the print side still today? Or are you already thinking of like getting more involved in digital projects? Yeah.
So digital stuff, like that's where Farran has been very crucial and instrumental. Is like he's been building out a lot of the putting his interview audio over existing footage from people, which has been awesome to be able to upload to YouTube. I mean, it's stuff that's already created, and the brands and skaters are like, you can use that video part and put the audio over it or whatever. So that was like our early introduction of creating video content. But I definitely want to get into original content that we create from start to finish or whatever very soon. And that mainly has to do with me just wrapping my head around getting the budget and how much it costs to print this thing, how much it costs to pay everybody for the contributions and stuff.
Right.
And so as this year kind of progresses and I know for sure which brands are in, how many subscriptions I have, and like how much I have to spend, I will have a better idea of like what I can spend outside of making the print magazine and what I'm able to like spend on video content and original video content. So I'm hoping this year to actually work on getting exclusive video stuff specifically for Closer or whatever. So hopefully this year, for sure next year.
Okay.
And like just get people filming. I would like to have, exclusive video parts. I would like to have little mini documentaries on the site.
Yeah, because you mentioned the Day One documentary, and that was a great piece, and I feel like there's definitely room for more of those. I assume it must be difficult to produce them and very time consuming and everything, but I'd love to see more pieces like that for sure.
Yeah, I was like stoked because that was mainly Joe Pease's vision with how it looked and felt. And then Mackenzie Eisenhower helped build out the storyline of that. And then I helped line up the interviews and helped kind of like Joe with direction of like what clip should go where or whatever. So it was like a super fun process to be a part of and work as a collective on like video stuff outside of the mag or whatever. Because I was like, we're going to make videos now. So I guess I got to be a producer or whatever and help just guide or direct that stuff. So it would be fun to like add that element to this as we go.
And so I kind of asked this to all the kind of skate media people that I've had so far, but how do you see the near future, let's say, of skateboarding media? Because you've been in this industry for a long time. You've seen it go through different phases. You've been at different kinds of, as we mentioned, like monthly, bi-monthly, digital, print. Now you're doing this kind of premium quarterly magazine. And so I was wondering, like, where do you see skate media in like maybe 5 years from now or something?
Yeah, I definitely want to see more magazines. I feel like people, even the younger generation, I feel like is more accepting of like physical holding things, you know, like they're into vinyl and cassette tapes are making a comeback and that kind of vibe. So I feel like, I think it'd just be more splintered. Maybe there won't be as many like Juggernaut, Transworld, like Thrasher will still be there or whatever, but there won't be like all these giant ones. It's going to be a lot of more independent, more niche independent magazines and websites. Like Village Psychic kills it. I love what they're doing and stuff.
Yeah.
The Jankums and Skate John as far as print and like that's just the US or whatever, but I just feel like it'll be more like rad little crews of like print media and digital stuff that is like adding their voice to skateboarding, and the more the better, you know.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all evolves, yeah. Because as you said, like 15 years ago at Skateboarder, they were like, we're going to do only digital now because like people are basically going to consume media only on a tablet from now on or a smartphone or something. But now in 2023, it's kind of, this weird moment where people, like as you said, like younger people are getting magazines or buying vinyls and everything. So it's, it's interesting. Who would have thought that like 15 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. And I think just it helps too beyond the young people. Like our generation, the older generation of people are nostalgic. We still love things from our childhood. And so that plays into it. Like people just want to feel a connection to what they are familiar with and grew up with. And so that's where this kind of like fills that void. There's not a void there, but for people like to be excited about something tangible.
For sure.
It's fun.
I usually wrap the interviews with this question for me, which is, what's the most valuable lesson you feel that you've learned from skating?
I think it should be synonymous with everybody that skateboards is the whole fall down and get the fuck back up and keep going or whatever. And the fourth issue that's about to come out, the intro text is titled Get Back Up.
Okay.
And that is the quintessential life lesson from skateboarding is you always fall down and we always get back up. You know, like you keep trying, you keep charging. Like you don't let failure keep you down.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. That's a fantastic lesson to live by. And like it was ingrained so early on. Like a lot of people quit skating because they fall down and it hurts or whatever. But if you stick with it, then like you're built different or like you think different or whatever. So I'm
like
very, very
delayed gratification kind of, or
Yeah, working very hard for a long period of time and wait for the success, like that's a huge thing. And I feel like that's been monumental. And I think just the DIY aspect of skateboarding and punk rock and all that is just like, don't wait for someone else to fucking hand it to you. Like go out there and make it yourself. If you really want something, go make it yourself and be in control of your own destiny for sure.
Okay, so let's wrap it up with the friends question. So,
oh God, I'm nervous.
No, they're all people that we mentioned most of these guys throughout our conversation. So
yeah.
So this first one is actually a funny one from Mike Sinclair. So he said, name 3 other people who work in skateboarding who have Southern accents and imitate them.
Oh my God. Yeah, Mike Sinclair's from North Carolina, also known as North
that's
Caca.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and so what's funny is I never met him back in the day when I lived in South Carolina, so it's crazy. Our paths never crossed, even though we were only a few hours away from each other.
Yeah.
Hey, Playboy! Hey, Playboy! I feel like I'm imitating him, imitating other people. Hey, Playboy! Who else? Fuck. Yeah, I can only think of Mike right now because he asked the question, but I'm only thinking of him. Maybe come back to it. One might pop in my head and I can do it.
Okay, so this next one is from Farran Golding that we mentioned a bunch of times.
Yep.
So he said, as someone who has worked in skateboarding media for a long time and still rips into their 40s, might I add, if you were putting together a skate company made up of media types, who would write for you? Take your pick from all the writers, designers, photographers, and videographers you can think of. And on top of that question, pick 2 skaters to be your marquee pros.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm already working with Farran, so I'm going to exclude him from this because he asked the question.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Obviously, Eric Swisher is working for me, so I'll exclude him. He's already working for me. I've always thought Aaron Meza was an amazing voice and writer, even though he hates writing. I got him to write the Chico interview for last issue or whatever, 2 issues ago.
He had a piece in there, he had an
interview.
He
was interviewed, but he wrote the intro for Chico in issue 2 or whatever, and it killed, like, he hates writing, but I think he's a fantastic writer and has like a funny perspective on life or whatever. Like, he's super good. Who Mike Sinclair. He did a few interviews at Skateboarder for like old skaters, and then he's always got great stories to tell. So he's a fantastic writer. He would be on the team for sure or whatever. And then 2 skaters that would represent the brand?
Yeah.
Wow, that is.
He didn't say if they needed to be current or past skaters, so to speak. But
yeah. Like, you want somebody like a John Lucero or Lance Mountain to kind of add to like legendary status, but they have the fun side of skating. They don't take themselves too seriously. It's all about fun.
Yeah.
Maybe something like a Guy Mariano for longevity of like creativity and just longevity of never slowing down and never looking a day past their like 15th birthday. They still skate like he still skates like he's 15 years old. So maybe something like that.
Okay. Yeah, he's definitely an alien or something. I don't know how he keeps skating like
going
that.
On
it's
there.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, something's going on there.
Okay, so this next one is from Tobin Yelland.
Wow.
So he said, what is your favorite memory working for Transworld?
I think my favorite memory is just working there. Like, I was stoked to work at certain. I told you earlier, like, once I started working there, and I realized, like, I'm working at Transworld Skateboarding Magazine, my first skate fucking magazine that I got. This is incredible. Yeah. So I think just working there was incredible. But I was really stoked on kind of going. It was like going to a new school. So there's like the staff was there, and then I'm coming in as a new person. They were all so fucking awesome and all skated and all ripped and just were all super nice, and so it was like super cool to work with Paul Kobrigger, Brian Blakely, Blair Alley, Keegan Callahan, Luke Callahan, Mike Fitz, David Jaruzik, like, and you know the best part of that too is Desiree Hensley. Matt Hensley's wife worked at Transworld.
Oh, no way.
And so so she worked there for years, and she was awesome, and she was an awesome person, and just the idea that we're hanging out with Matt Hensley's wife, and she's super cool, and we make fun of her, and she makes fun of us, like, it was like super cool. So like that was like a really cool memory, and we're still friends to this day, all of us at Transworld. So just working at Transworld was amazing, and then making new friends and working with a rad staff of like skaters was super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mentioning Matt Hensley, I would love to see an interview of him in Closer. I hope you do that sometime soon.
Trust me, I've been begging him, and I almost had him for the first issue with Eric.
Okay.
And then something came up and he wasn't able to do it, but he's so busy. Like, he tours with Flogging Molly so much that it's hard to like lock him down.
Okay,
but
I see.
He's on our hit list for sure. It's coming. He promised. He said, I promise I'll do it. Just can't hold on. I'm like, all right, I'm going to hold you to it, Matt.
All right. This next one is an audio one.
Greetings, Jamie. This is Kevin from the Look Back Library. I place you in a very special category, and that is one of the most ripping skateboard magazine editors to date. And it seems as though, as you're now at the helm of Closer, you're skating more than ever. Please comment on aging and your skateboarding.
Easy. Awesome. I appreciate that. I'm flattered by the ripping stuff or whatever. I think, and dude, I always realize too, like, skaters respect skating. You know, like, you can like make the raddest stuff in the world, but you know, like, if you skate and like put yourself out there and do that shit, skaters respond to that, which is really cool. But I think doing this from my house, I'm my own boss. Like, I have a lot of time to skate. I can skate early in the mornings, come home, work, go skate at night. And my daughters are old enough now; they're in high school and stuff. And my wife works, so I'm not having to like help around, like take care of the girls girls as much as I used to, like years ago or whatever. Like I was like really trying to be a present dad and help out. But now they're so self-sufficient that I get to skate so much more. And I'm, like I said, like I take it way more, like I realize time is ticking. So I'm trying to get in as much as possible. So yeah, I just try to skate as much as I can, and working from home and being my own boss, I kind of can weave in and out of work and go skate as much as I want. So like barring any injuries or whatever, I'm like, my body feels great, and I'm still trying to learn stuff now, and I'm doing the best skating of my life. I think I'm better than I was when I was like 15, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy. I can't believe that.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's super sick. All right, this one is from Matt Price, who shot the latest cover for issue number 3, I believe, right? The Louis Lopez one?
Yeah, Louis, and he shot the Spanky cover too. And what's funny is
I didn't remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and he did not shoot the 4th issue cover, but he texted me and said, hey, if you need a cover, Kyle Seidler has a photo I want to show you. So he like sourced out the cover for issue 4. I'm like, he's killing it with the cut. He didn't even shoot it, but he helped get it for me. It's awesome.
Yeah. He made it happen.
Yeah.
So he said, ask Jamie if he ever got hit in the balls or had his head shaved when he was shooting Jackass. I think you mentioned getting hit in the balls on the 9 Club. I think you mentioned that they were like doing that with everybody, basically.
Yeah. So I don't think I ever actually got hit, but you always covered your balls when you were like, anytime Jeff Tremaine or any of those guys, even to this day, are standing near each other, they always put their hands cupped over their nuts. They could be on Jimmy Kimmel Live, whatever TV show. They're always waiting to get popped in the nuts.
Oh, wow.
But that's what I was saying. Like, I was always scared to be around them because I thought they would really fuck with you, but they did beyond to like popping each other in the nuts. I never took a brunt of any of the like gags or fuck around.
Yeah, like snakes thrown at you or something.
Yeah. I was able to make it out pretty clean. Stoked on that.
What about the head shaved? Did you do something like that?
No, I always had a shaved head when I moved out here. I was going bald early, like before I moved out, so I shaved my head. So I had a big head, so they couldn't take it away. I already took it from them. I already took it from them. Yeah, never any dicks drawn on my face or anything. It was good. It was clean. I made it out alive.
Okay, this next one is from Meza, from Aaron Meza.
Awesome.
So he said, what are some tips for blowing up a celebrity, and which have been some of your favorite celebrity encounters? And he added, he's famous for going up and shouting out celebrities when he sees them. I thought that was amazing. I didn't know that. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh my God. I tell my friends back home, it's like, I think I have a gift. And they're like, what? I go, I can spot a celebrity, like a low profile celebrity, like somebody that's not like super famous, super far away. And so, yeah, me and Meza all through the years will text each other like, dude, I just saw so-and-so at the coffee shop, blah, blah, blah. I saw Pauly Shore. I got a picture with Pauly Shore. And the question, if he ever texts me and says, I just saw somebody, I said, did you blow them up? Did you let them know that we know? And sometimes it's like, yeah, no, or whatever. But the one of the stories I have is like, this is not a celebrity, but this is where I'm like, so I love the X-Files in the 90s. I loved X-Files. Used to watch it religiously. And then in the mid-2000s, one of the TV stations was playing reruns of X-Files. And so I was like watching old episodes. And then, so fast forward a few days later, I was in Los Angeles. I was with Meza, I think Meza and Dmitry Eliaskovich from Big Brother fame. We were standing outside of Supreme somehow. We were just standing outside of Supreme. It was closed. And this dude walks by with this girl, and he's looking in the window. And I look over at him, and I'm like, holy shit. And I go, Meza, this guy was on an episode of X-Files. And he was like, what, really? I go, yeah, he's not a known actor. He's just some random dude that was on a random episode of X-Files in the 90s, but it had just recently played. So I was refreshed with it.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. And so, like, he's not a name. I don't think he's ever been in anything since or whatever. And he walked by us, and I go, hey, man, what's up? I go, weren't you on X-Files? And he was like, I was, yeah. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. I just watched that episode the other night. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. And he walked away, and I was like, boom, that was awesome. And then Dimitri goes, do you know you just got that guy so laid? Like, you just made him feel like a superstar or whatever in front of his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. But yeah, those are always the best ones, is when you see someone that's not, an A-list actor or whatever.
Huge celebrity
A huge celebrity, yeah. But I loved living in LA and having those random encounters with people and being like in line for food or something. Oh, even at Skateboarder Days, we saw like Dustin Hoffman and Lily Tomlin were filming a movie right downstairs from us.
Okay.
And we walked through it and just walked through their set or whatever and said what's up to them. And then we went and ate at, we used to eat at this Wahoo's fish taco place right down from work. And Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul was in there.
Yeah.
We were standing right behind him and I blew him up. I'm like, hey, Bob, I loved you on Mr. Show. Like, and he's like, okay, cool. And then another time was the main guy from Office Space, the Mike Judd movie Office Space.
Okay.
He was in line in front of us one time and I shouted him out. And it was just, for days we would see people in LA.
Yeah, plenty of stories, yeah.
Yeah, super fun. I love it. I used to keep a journal of celebrities that I saw in LA or whatever. I was trying to keep a list. I got to dig it out one day and see what I got.
Yeah. That would be fun, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, super cool.
Okay, this next one is from Blair Alley from Transworld.
Yeah, yo.
So he said, who's the best skater you've ever seen skate the Transworld Park?
Dude, I was like going from a skateboarder, not having a skate park, and then going to Transworld. That was one of the best things, is having a private skate park at your disposal. So we would get to skate at lunch, and that really helped my skating get back in the groove too, was the consistency of being able to skate the park. And then obviously there would be mornings you'd walk into the skate park at Transworld and Pat Duffy is just having a solo session in the skate park. And I was like, so this is what it's like to work at Transworld. You just walk back here and Pat Duffy's skating your skate park. Or Josh Kalis. Josh Kalis is skating the skate park.
Wow.
Dude, yeah, so there were so many times when there were so many rad sessions, and then we would film team edits back there.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, ripping. I would say, like, this is a kind of Keegan Callahan, the art director for Transworld Skateboarding, one of the gnarliest skaters ever that I've ever skated with. He could, like, kickflip backside tail slide the bump to box. He could backside nose blunt it. Yeah, so I think that's where Blair was leading it to, is Keegan Callahan.
Okay.
And his brother Luke Callahan, who switched tray flip the double set, and then as he's riding away, just rode out of the park and never came back.
It's like mic drop and just
mic drop. He switched 360 flip the double set in the park.
Have fun, guys. I just killed everything.
Have fun with your stupid tricks. I just crushed it.
Okay, let's see. This is another audio one.
What's up, Jamie? This is Abe from Miami. Wanted to ask you, who are your top 5 favorite skaters, past and present, and what is your favorite curb spot?
Ooh, what's up, Abe? Best curb skater in the world, Abe.
He definitely is, yeah.
Man, top 5 all time. I could use Nodis, Gons, Neil Blender, Mike Carroll. God, there's so fucking many. And it's like kind of a revolving list, but those guys are fucking up there.
Yeah.
Guy Mariano, Mike Carroll. Yeah, Nodis, Gons, Neil Blender's a pretty solid list of skaters.
That's a good list, yeah.
And favorite curb spot, dude, the Costco curbs are really fun. You see them on Instagram all the time. Like, those long double-sided curbs are, every time I go there, I try to like crook the whole like 30-foot thing because it's like the craziest feeling in the world.
Yeah. Is that the spot that you skated with Jeremy when he came to California, or is that a different one?
Yeah. The first spot we skated was that.
Yeah, because there was another one, like a parking lot, yeah.
Yeah, big parking lot. So it's a Costco. So you get to go early in the morning before the cars fill up the parking lot.
Right, yeah.
So I'll drive up to LA at like 7 in the morning and meet those guys and skate till about 10 is when all the cars it's like the tide comes in and all the cars start filling up the spots.
Okay.
That spot's amazing. Yep.
Okay, this next one is from Michael Burnett.
Awesome.
So he said, who is the greatest skater with the most promise who, for whatever reason, never went on to a big pro career?
Fuck.
That's a hard one. I was trying to think of people, but it's difficult.
So there's probably a lot that I'm not thinking of right now, but someone that pops in my head, someone that I was super stoked on was Trainwreck, Alex Gall, Trainwreck.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed destined to be one of the gnarliest dudes ever, skaters or whatever, and just did not last or whatever, that one video part. But I remember seeing his ads and he just looked so fucking raw and so fucking sick at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I would just go with somebody like him, but I'm sure there's a lot of other options that I'm not thinking of right now, but Trainwreck. Would have liked to see more of Trainwreck and what he could have done, for sure.
Okay, this one is from, we mentioned him at the beginning, Mike Ballard.
Yeah.
So he said, I still feel really bad about that time I shot a 16-penny framing nail through Jamie's hand. Literally crucified his hand with a nail gun during a building session at the first Barra Park. I still have nightmares about that. Ask Jamie to tell that story. And then he said also, what advice would Jamie give to someone trying to get into the skate scene as far as being in the editorial photography side, behind the scenes?
Boom.
2 separate questions, but So like, what about this story of getting a nail through your hand? That's pretty gnarly, yeah.
It's so fucking gnarly. So Ballard, again, like he builds a lot of stuff. So I told you we built the Emerica pit article. We built all the ramps. That was all Ballard and Jai Tanju, and then I helped. And so Barra got Ballard to build his first indoor skate park, which was like out in the valley. Before the barracks, it was like a DVS. Yeah, it was Steve Barra's, but it was like a DVS, Steve Barra skate park.
Right, yeah.
And so this is one of the times where I'm just hanging out with Ballard. If we were going out there, we're helping build this skate park, and I'm holding up like some 2x4s or whatever, like, you know, platform of some sort, and I'm holding it with my hands very close to my face, like they're like parallel with my eye, you know, like I'm holding something up.
Okay.
And he's using a nail gun and popping through these things.
Wow.
And one of them ricochets and goes off, and it goes through my hand right here in between my finger and my thumb. It goes through that. It's sticking through, and that part of my hand was right near my eye. Like if it didn't hit my hand, it could have went into my eye or the side of my face.
Oh my God. Wow.
And so he sticks it in there. It sticks in there, and I'm like, ah. And so I pull out the nail, like instinctually, just pull it out.
Okay.
And I'm like, my God. So it didn't really hurt. It was more shock.
Yeah.
Because it's through like the fatty part.
Yeah.
A nail is going through my hand.
Oh my God.
I pull it out, and I'm freaking out. And so Steve Barra was there, and Steve took me to the emergency room. Okay. It wasn't like bleeding profusely or anything, but this kind of goes into a celebrity sighting story. So Steve Barra takes me to the emergency room close by or whatever, and it's like a very small room, and I'm, you know, it's not too bad, but I just wanted to get it disinfected and maybe if I needed stitches or something.
Sure.
And then I'm sitting there, and I look over, and I notice this guy, and I'm like, that's Robert Townsend. He's like a comedian from like the late 80s, early 90s, and he made this movie called Hollywood Shuffle.
His name rings a bell, but yeah.
Yeah, look him up after this. Like, he didn't have like a crazy career, but when I was a kid, he was kind of a big deal.
Okay.
So again, he's not like a super big person, but I was like, I remember watching Hollywood Shuffle as a kid and loving it. There was like so many quotes from that movie.
Okay.
And I'm like sitting in there in the emergency room, and I blow him up. I'm like, hey, Robert Townsend, I love your comedy or whatever. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, this is awkward to see you in an emergency room. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm getting something checked out. I was like, okay. Yeah, so that was a crazy day because, Ballard almost blinded me or probably put a nail in my brain. But it was a total accident. But thankful my hand was in the way of my head.
Did it heal okay? Like, did it kind of... Did you have to get stitches and everything, or...?
Yeah, no, I think they just disinfected it and put, like, a Band-Aid over it or something, because it was...
Okay.
Yeah, it went seriously through... It didn't go through the middle. It went through this part of the hand.
Yeah, thank God it was there and not in the middle of the palm or something. That would have been way gnarlier.
Yeah, and so I feel like in one of the issues of Skateboarder, there's in the masthead it says intern Jaime nail through the hand Owens, and that's the reference to that.
Okay. Wow.
Trying to give me the train wreck nickname or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty gnarly. Fuck, that must have been horrible.
Yeah, it was a wild experience or whatever.
And so the second question was about advice that you would give to someone who would want to get into the skate scene in the more editorial or photography side.
Yeah, it's definitely a different, there's less outlets or whatever, I guess, these days than it used to be when it first came up. But yeah, you want to show people what you got. Like, I feel bad for a lot of photographers that want to come out because there's already a lot of, there's not a lot of seats at the table, as you would say, or whatever, with photography. Yeah. There's a set amount of, obviously, editorial pages in magazines and or ads or whatever, but and there's already established photographers that it's really kind of hard to like work your way in.
Yeah.
Even when photographers are pretty good and they send you photos, it's just kind of maybe of their friends or like local people. And it's like, I can't use these because, you know, they're just not the right skaters for right now or whatever. But
sure.
I would almost say start your own thing, like maybe a zine or a website where you can like promote your photography and or writing. I feel like there's people out there, just doing their own thing. And like Eric Swisher did that, right? Like he created his own website and started his own and slowly got his way into interviewing people.
Right.
And then you build up, you know, an audience or you build up, you know, content that people can check out.
Yeah.
And that's that's the best way to probably like get into like working in editorial side of skating, whether photography or writing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, try to start doing your own thing and promoting yourself in that fashion.
Okay, I have a few last ones. Let's see. This one is another audio one.
What's up, Jamie? It's Sammy. Got a couple of music questions for you because I know you're a big music guy. What's the most memorable show you've ever been to? Also curious, what's a bucket list band that you've always wanted to go see? All right, see ya.
Awesome. Those are great questions.
Yeah. We didn't talk about like you being in the punk band. You did mention it on the Nine Club, and I think it was called Prevail, right? Was that the name of the band?
Yeah, and we have our music on bandcamp.com now. Hardcore Prevail HC maybe is how it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, you can check it out.
I'll go check it out for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I have two answers for the most memorable show. So I would say the 90s in general, going to see live hardcore shows in the 90s when we were in a band and playing with bands and festivals and stuff was incredible. And looking back at it now through the years of like, these bands were your favorite bands. They were on the level of like, I'd say like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, whatever. They were on that level, but they were just hardcore punk bands that you loved. And you could go see them for $5 or less or a couple of bucks and go see them in somebody's living room, somebody's basement, some like cafe, and you could stand face to face with them and hear their music. And that every one of those shows was an incredible experience to like be a part of and just feel like you're in this little tiny bubble of this world that's so impactful and powerful to you.
Yeah.
But I would say one of the best shows, bigger concerts that I've ever been to was Nick Cave.
Oh,
a few
nice.
years. Yeah, dude, I wasn't a Nick Cave fan at all growing up or whatever, and got into him like way later. Got into his music and like realized that he like made all this like dark, emotional, emo kind of like, you know, gothic music. And I was like, I love this. And he went on tour and he played in San Diego and it was absolutely incredible. We had seats up in the upper mezzanine and we saw people kind of like standing up. It was all seats, you know, like a theater, but people were standing up at the front row and stuff. And I was like, I want to go get closer to this. My eyesight's kind of bad. I was like, I hate being this far away. And so we made our way down and somehow got past security guards and got into the pit or whatever that was like kind of formed in front of him. And I was like, man, this is incredible watching a live performer, like somebody this kind of big, really close to you. And during the concert, he goes, everybody in this front row, get on stage. And it was like, holy crap, really? So he got everybody on stage. And what was funny is I stayed in the back of that crowd because I was like, everybody on stage. So he got everybody on stage and then he made his way back to the front of the stage. And then it cleared out the front. So I was standing directly in front of him with a few other people. Okay. And I was like, and he's like just performing and all these people are on stage and he's seriously face to face with me and I'm filming with my iPhone right in his face and he's singing to the crowd and he goes, and one of the lyrics in the song is something like the devil or something. And he singing and he goes, the blah, 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 the devil. And he points directly at me and goes with an iPhone in his hand. And I went, yeah! I was like, I just got made fun of by Nick Cave. But he seriously was like a foot away from me. And I was like, holy shit. And then he proceeded to step past us and he walked on top of the seats all the way out to the middle of the regular crowd and sang his song from the middle. Wow. And I was like, this is mind-blowing. This is insane. What performer like puts the people on the stage, walks through the crowd like Jesus, like on the water or whatever, and just I was just like, holy shit. That was incredible. Like I still trip out to this day and like it's hard to like tell, like not a lot of people listen to Nick Cave or whatever, or my friends or whatever, but I'm like, dude, that was one of the craziest shows I've ever been to in my life. Like as far as that was an experience. Like that wasn't
looks like it,
Yeah, because you can go see people at the Hollywood Bowl or whatever, and it's just like you're super far away. You can barely see them watching the monitors. I was sitting there touching. Experience. Yeah, I was like touching the dude. I was like touching his leg. I was like, I can touch his leg. He's right here. This is crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so that was definitely one of the raddest ones. But I always go back to the 90s hardcore too. Like every one of those shows was amazing. To be able to be that close and have an experience was like awesome. Yeah. That was the two questions, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what was the second one? Was it, the bucket list band you've always wanted to go see?
Yeah. Fuck. I would say I love The Cure, and they're actually coming on tour. They're coming out here this year to the Hollywood Bowl, and I'm like, I want to go see them, but the Hollywood Bowl kind of sucks if you don't get up close or whatever. But I've loved them forever and never saw them. Okay. But the Sisters of Mercy are coming to play the Palladium in May, and I got tickets for that. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge, as you can tell, I'm kind of goth. I like a lot of goth music. I'm going to go see the Sisters of Mercy, and they're one of my all-time favorite bands. But the bad thing about that is every review I've read is like, they suck live. They fucking are awful. Like, they're terrible. So I'm like, I'm still going to go see it. I got to say, I saw the Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah. Might as well go check it out. And yeah.
Exactly.
Worst case scenario, it's not that great, but I'm sure it will still be fun to see them live.
Exactly. My 8th grade school photo in the yearbook, I'm wearing a Sisters of Mercy t-shirt, so I'm very excited. Cool. So close that circle, that loop.
Okay, this next one is this guy is Johannes Schön. He's one of the guys behind Pocket Skate Mag. Awesome. I just released an interview with him and his friend and partner Bernie, but it's Florian. Anyway, so Johannes, he's the guy more in the marketing kind of side. He does a lot of shit for Pocket, but anyways, Johannes said, in Europe, there are more than 10 active skateboard print magazines. Yeah. Why do you think there are many more magazines in Europe than there are in the States?
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe people were scared to, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I hope there's more. I hope more pop up and join the club for sure. It's impressive to see what Pocket Mag is doing and all the other mags, Solo, Free, Grade, Vague, all of them. It's super cool to see that many print mags or whatever. Maybe they just understood earlier on how important print is. Maybe, I don't know. And hopefully we see more pop up in the US for sure.
Sure, yeah. But also, I think a lot of these magazines are not monthly or bi-monthly. Some of them are and stuff, but for example, Pocket, they do 2 books a year or something. Mm-hmm. And other magazines, they'll do pretty much a quarterly or something. But not many of them are still, I think, for example, in France, there's just one kind of last monthly magazine. It's called Sugar.
Yeah, Sugar's still around. Okay.
It's still running, and it's still monthly. But I don't think there's many other ones that are still in that kind of old format of monthly issues.
Yeah, it's an insane thing to be monthly, whatever. That's why it's impressive. Thrasher just pumping them out it's crazy to that whole, I can't do that anymore. I'm like, oh man, I can't do monthly ever again. I gotta take my time. I'm old.
Yeah. No, I understand. And if I were to do a magazine, I would definitely not do a monthly one. Yeah, that must be pretty hectic.
But I'm stoked. Pocket Mag, what they do with their books and their video content, it's really impressive. They're crushing it too. That's awesome.
Okay, this one is from Tim Olson, Bailgun Gary on Instagram.
Bailgun Gary.
So he said, who's on your 2 dream sessions? One session as a photographer, the other as a skater.
Wow. So I would go back to as a skater, it would be those top 5 skaters, the guy, Mike Carroll, Gons, Nodis, Neil. That would be pretty iconic. But I would say recently in the past year, being able to skate with skate curves with Lance Mountain and John Lucero, to the originators of the Slappy. Yeah. That's been that's insane. I can't believe that I've known those guys for a long time and got to shoot photos and stuff of them, but actually doing Slappies nowadays and skating Slappy curves with those, I had to pull myself back and go, this is fucking awesome. This is so fucking cool. So those are dream sessions that are actually happening and I actually got to do. So that's pretty fucking cool. And then what's the dream session of shooting? I guess you would say it'd be cool to like shoot Neil Blender. If Neil Blender, skated, that would be a pretty iconic. Mm-hmm. Or even a Nodis photo. Even just shooting Nodis down at the Santa Monica curbs. Like
he lives close to that, right?
He still lives in that house that's like from Wheels of Fire and stuff like that right there. So it's like, I think getting a cool shot of him, even if he's just pushing, like I don't even know if he like really skates anymore of any level of that, but that would be incredible to be able to document and just have a photo of. But I would say too, recently I got to shoot last summer, so that back cover of issue 3 of Alva on the back of a Closer or whatever. So that's like, again, a dream session that kind of happened was just one of my best friends I grew up with, Evan, came out to California to stay with me for like a week, and then I was like, hey, I'm going to go shoot Lance Mountain for a photo for the mag. And Lance was like, well, I'm going to go skate a pool with Alva if you guys want to come to that. So it was just me, my friend Evan, Alva, Lance, and then Ozzy Osband, who like helped set up the pool, and his friend. So it was just of 6 of us having a session in a backyard Southern California pool. Me and my friend Evan were like, we're skating a pool with Lance Mountain and Tony Alva. This is fucking insane, dude. Like, it wasn't like some big thing with a whole bunch of random people around or whatever. It was like just us. And I was like, are you stoked on it? He goes, hell yeah. I'm like, I was like, Alva's not even part of our generation, but we understand Alva is Alva. And Lance is part of our generation of kids growing up. So it was just like, this is incredible. So
that's a bucket list moment for sure.
Another long answer. I'm sorry. That was
no. That's great. No.
Been having these bucket lists for this, recently, and so they're very fresh in my mind.
Oh, that must be pretty insane.
Yeah, shooting photos of those guys and being able to have a magazine to put the photos in, it feels awesome.
Okay, I have 2 last ones.
Okay.
Hello, Jamie. How's it going? My question for the podcast is, what's the most ridiculous thing that a photographer ever tried to expense on an expense report from a trip? And what was the surrounding context of that thing, if anything comes to mind?
Is that Mehring?
Yeah, Jonathan Mehring.
Well, it's obviously going to be Jonathan Mehring. I'm trying to think. Oh, that's awesome. I love Jonathan. Fuck, what did he... I cannot remember specifically anything, but I want to shout out Jonathan Mehring for being one of the raddest people I've ever met in skateboarding, one of my best friends, one of the best photographers. And one of the most creative and self-reliant photographers I ever worked with. He did amazing trips, dude. He set up all of the Amazon trip for Skateboarder, the Trans-Siberian trips, all that. That's all Mehring. Like, dude, he just always wanted to do something different, go somewhere different.
Things out of the box, kind of.
Yeah, so out of the box. So he definitely probably put in some crazy expenses in the to get paid back for, but I never cared or whatever, as long as he did the articles and got those amazing trips. Oh, the Vietnam trip where they took motorcycles, man, he crushed it. So he probably had some crazy shit slid into his expenses, and I never questioned any of it. Just, yes, pay this man back. He's so
whatever
valuable.
he needs.
Whatever he needs, we need him going on these trips. He can buy whatever he wants on these trips.
Keep him happy.
Expensive. Yeah, keep him happy.
Amazing.
That's not a great answer, but I just wanted,
No, that's good.
Mehring's the best.
Okay, we can wrap it up with this last question from Eric Swisher.
Yes, the man.
So he said, are there any photos published from early on in your photography career that you really don't like now? Anything specific? And what is a classic skate photo that you wish you'd shot?
Ooh. Definitely my first photo. So the first photo I have published with my name on it was the Reynolds cover shot for frontside flip down Wilshire 15. But I don't take claim for that because I feel like that's a Ballard. Ballard set that whole situation up.
Yeah, I think you told that on the 9 Club, I believe.
Yeah, so I won't go into that. But yeah, so I credit Ballard. That's a Ballard photo, even though my name was on it. I pushed the trigger, but that wasn't.
Yeah.
So my first real photo that I got published in Skateboarder was a Matt Ball, who was like an AM for Birdhouse, had a Who's Hot, and he had a frontside feeble at this spot. And I hate that photo now because I see the way I set up my flashes. Like, one of my flashes was like way too low, and it cast like a big old shadow across the bottom of the photo or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like so bummed now, like looking back at that. I'm like, I can't believe, I mean, I was stoked to just have a photo published and have my first legitimate solo photo that I set up and shot and everything published. But yeah, definitely not proud of that first one for sure.
Okay.
And then like a dream photo that I wish I had shot is what he asked for the second one, right?
Yeah.
Dang. You know what one was super cool? It's one of my favorite covers was shot for Skateboarder was the Spike Jonze, Guy Mariano kickflip on the like white wall with the like red arrow going up it. I got to be at that session. Ballard set that session up and Spike Jonze came in and shot the photo. I'll pull that one up for you.
Yeah, because I don't remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's iconic. Like this is when Guy Mariano was like kind of like super low profile, wasn't having a lot of coverage or whatever.
Is it like on a kind of a bank over a rail or something, or?
No, it's a straight white wall. It's a seamless in like a photo studio, so it's just a white transition wall.
Oh, okay.
One of those deals, but to help see the transition, Ballard put like this red arrow going up it.
Okay.
So it kind of like graphically looks cool too to have the red arrow going up. And Guy Mariano came in and he was just doing backside ollies on it and shot that. I think they were going to be cool with that being the cover, just a backside ollie of Guy at this like studio shot by Spike Jonze.
Okay.
But Guy kept skating and then he did a kickflip fakie on it, which was fucking insane because that transition's so steep and it's really hard to see.
Okay.
Anyway, I wish that would have been cool to shoot that photo of Guy Mariano at that time.
Okay.
That's a pretty iconic photo to me, and it's part of my early career at Skateboarder that I got to witness but see. So that could be it. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you so much for your time, Quentin. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry if I had long-winded answers.
No, thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your stories. And long live Closer, and I look forward to issue number 4. I'll probably get my hands on it in a couple of weeks or something, or maybe a bit more. But keep doing it because it's amazing, and I hope it keeps going for a long time.
Yeah, I appreciate your supporting it, man. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate this too. This helps in every way, and it was fun to talk to you. Oh, yeah, and one more thing, Quentin, before I go, I definitely wanted to say thank you to my wife, who has been so supportive and helpful through this whole process of, like, starting the mag up. And, like, it's a big challenge to do something like this at this time in our life. And, it's been amazing to have her support and love. And, love you, babe. Thanks, Quentin.
That's it for my conversation with Jamie. Follow him on Instagram at Jaime Owens, JAIMEOWENS. Follow Closer at Closer Skateboarding. Head over to closerskateboarding.com to subscribe to the mag, buy some merch or one of the first 4 issues from this last year. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon for a new episode of Beyond Boards.